The use of AI has been quite a big talking point within Tomb Raider 4 to 6 Remastered. Today we're going to have a look at how this has affected the game in other languages, the original voiceover artists, and possible reasons why it might have been done. Firstly, as mentioned in a previous video, I believe AI does have its uses, if done in the right way and for the right reasons. For example, let's say voiceover lines are scheduled to be re-recorded, but the voiceover artist hasn't had time to do them yet, and the developers just need something in its place because they're showing off the game somewhere. In this example, I'd say it's okay as long as this generated version doesn't end up in the final game and permissions have been sought beforehand. Now, this isn't the first time that voiceover lines have been a talking point within the Tomb Raider Remastered trilogies. In 1 to 3 Remastered, you'll remember that some were removed within the tutorial level Lara's Home, but this was down to the language used against the terminology used by the console developers. In this case, in 4 to 6 Remastered, some voiceover lines have been changed or were missing altogether. The ones that have been changed, the original voiceover artists that recorded them back in the late 90s and early 2000s have mentioned on their social media pages that they were never invited back by the developers to record these lines again. So how have they suddenly appeared in the game if they weren't originally recorded? Well, it turns out that the developers have taken the original recordings and it seems like they've put them through AI to create new or the apparent missing voiceover lines. Now, it does seem like a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation here. They originally removed lines in one trilogy, and instead of removing lines in the next trilogy, they've adapted them using AI instead of getting them re-recorded. There was a backlash for removing them, and there's still a backlash for not re-recording them. But the argument could be, using AI in this instance is better than removing them altogether. And I do understand it in that way, but the actual ethics of it and the way they've gone about it, I don't agree with. What you're seeing now are some examples of the original Voices of Lara stating their opinions about this AI usage of their voice on social media. We're going to start with the voice of Lara from Brazil, who's said in a video that while she's not against AI, she's not happy that her voice was used in this way without her consent, but that she would be available to redub all of the lines if required. Another example is the Japanese voice of Lara, who sadly passed away about 6 months before Tomb Raider 4 to 6 Remastered was released. However, she did record the lines in the original games, but it doesn't seem that she's recorded any further lines for the remaster. However, her voice has been artificially modified to add lines in the Japanese release. Now, one of the most vocal people about this is the French voice of Lara, Françoise Cadal. She's not even been invited back to re-record the lines that may have been missing or re-record any lines whatsoever. She's a living person and has the ability to go and record the lines again. Now, you're not just going to have her record the missing lines because her voice would have changed since she recorded them originally. So she would have to record everything again, but this is a remastered game after all. So it does seem that there's a recurring theme here, but to top it off, Paul Douglas, who was the co-creator of Tomb Raider back at Core Design, says on his Blue Sky account, which was reposted over onto X, that it's not cool for generative AI to be used in this way. And I absolutely agree with him. If the voiceover artist is living and is able to reproduce the voiceover lines, get them in a studio and get them to re-record. By all means, use an AI version of the voice that you can play to them as an example for delivery speed, style, tone, and for demo purposes, but use their master recording in the actual game. Let me just be really clear on my opinions on the use of AI. It's okay in the right places. Let's say you're unsure what a texture is supposed to look like for an ancient tomb. Generate some images using AI, find inspiration from them, take ideas from them, and create your own version. Absolutely fine with that, not got a problem. Same with voiceovers and sound. Generate something to create some inspiration, or just record some of the development team in this instance to say the lines in different ways, just to get a demo version that you can then play to the voiceover artists. Find different styles and see what works. Then get the actual voiceover artist to record the lines to your spec. Do I mind AI? As a temporary thing, I'd say it's okay. As mentioned several times in this video, that could be in the sense of demos, betas or playtests. But the final thing, does need the finished, polished version. As this is quite a big talking point, especially with the recent updates, do you think that they'll actually get the original voiceover artists to re-record? Do you think that those voiceover artists may now refuse to record even if they were invited back due to the situation? Or do you think the developers will continue to use more generative AI in the future? I want to know your thoughts, so drop them in the comments and let's have a discussion on this developing story.